To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere, people will wait in line to see.
Rachel Zegler has officially hit rock bottom. In a move that stunned even Hollywood insiders, Disney is quietly pulling Snow White from shelves and screens across the country, like it never even existed. Billions lost, theaters empty, and now Disney is reportedly scrapping future woke reboots altogether. But the real meltdown? It's Rachel. After months of backlash and brutal box office numbers, she's collapsing under the pressure, breaking down on live streams, ranting in interviews, and facing the reality that her career might never recover. What went so wrong, and why is Disney acting like Snow White never happened? Let's dive right into the video. Now, theater owners, who were contractually obligated to show Snow White on a set number of screens, started rebelling. They reported shockingly low attendance, even for weekend shows, and pleaded with Disney to let them pull the plug early. In many cases, they didn't wait. They swapped it out for literally anything else they could screen. And then, one moment broke the internet. A fan posted a short video from inside a Snow White showing. The camera pans across the theater, and it's empty. Not just a light crowd, empty. You could count the attendees on one hand. The vibe feels more like a canceled school assembly than a Disney blockbuster.
Okie dokie. I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the woke we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
But that wasn't even the worst of it. Overseas, things got harsher. Lebanon went further than pulling showtimes. They banned the movie completely, not just from theaters, but from all distribution within the country, officially. It's not even being imported. And then came the humiliation no Disney exec wants to hear. Lilo and Stitch, yes, the quirky, tropical, animated classic, was quietly tracking to outgrow Snow White's entire US box office run in just its opening weekend. This wasn't an Avengers movie. It wasn't a Pixar juggernaut. It was Lilo, with a space dog. And it still crushed Snow White like it was nothing. Even the merch is flopping. Snow White dolls, t-shirts, mugs, all of it was shipped in limited batches to create demand. But months later, shelves are still full. Disney can't even give the stuff away. And that brings us to the person at the center of all this, Rachel Zegler, the internet's punching bag. And now the reported reason why co-stars are turning on each other, projects are getting canceled, and Disney's entire live-action strategy is under threat. Because what's coming next isn't just a box office loss. It's public betrayal, career sabotage, and a breakdown caught on camera. As Snow White fell apart publicly, the behind-the-scenes fractures started leaking, and what came out made things worse for Rachel Zegler. First came Gal Gadot. In an interview, Gal didn't throw Rachel under the bus directly, but she definitely didn't defend her either. When asked about the backlash, Gal pointed to a disconnect between what the film delivered and what fans were expecting. She called it a misalignment at the corporate level. Translation? This wasn't my fault.
Gal delivered the following. The most important thing when you are working on a film is teamwork. And when you have characters like the Evil Queen and Snow White, you expect teamwork to play a role in the creative process when you are trying to put something special together. We didn't really have teamwork, and there were many setbacks that we had to deal with during this entire process. And I just found that to be very exhausting.
And then came the real moment. When asked if she'd speak more about her experience with Rachel, Gal said, "I'll talk about that when I feel comfortable." One sentence, 10,000 rumors.
Further, I think those that follow me will be satisfied when I am more comfortable to share more details on the specifics, but for now, it's something I feel is not the right time to jump into.
Fans immediately took that as confirmation that things on set were chaotic, and that Gal had held back out of professionalism. But now, even she's hinting that the truth is a lot messier than it looks. Meanwhile, Rachel's other co-star, Andrew Burnap, didn't even show up to the premiere. Not for press, not for promotion, nothing. And here's where it gets wild. According to reports, Rachel herself had already hinted his scenes might get cut. She literally said all of Andrew's scenes could get cut in a press event, and they basically were.
One of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Imagine putting months of work into a Disney movie, only for your lead co-star to openly tell the press you might not make the final cut. No wonder Andrew skipped the red carpet. The energy behind the scenes wasn't just tense, it was toxic. Then Disney made the biggest move yet. Tangled, their next big live-action adaptation, was officially canceled. Quietly, without warning. No trailer, no teaser, no announcement, just gone. And while Disney hasn't named Snow White as the reason, it doesn't take much to connect the dots. Tangled was supposed to be the next billion-dollar franchise reboot, and early reports claimed Rachel Zegler was the top name being considered to play Rapunzel. But after everything that happened with Snow White, Disney clearly didn't want to take that risk again. It wasn't just about recasting, it was about strategy. Tangled would have required another massive budget, another round of fan expectations, and a full campaign built around a face the internet was already tired of defending. For Disney, the damage wasn't worth it, and that kind of decision doesn't happen unless you believe your lead is part of the problem. What we're seeing now isn't just a failed movie, it's a full industry rejection. Actors walking away, studios canceling future projects, directors dodging blame, and Rachel still at the center of it all. But that's nothing compared to what happened next. Because after defending the movie for months, doing press tours, and promising fans the theaters would be full, Rachel Zegler ended up sitting in one of the emptiest theaters of her career. And it was caught on camera. Before Snow White hit theaters, Rachel Zegler was confident, too confident. She told fans that people would line up to see the movie, that it would be groundbreaking, that audiences would embrace the new vision. She doubled down on her stance that the original Snow White was outdated, and that her version would fix it. But the reality couldn't have been more different. When backlash started building online, Rachel posted an emotional clip to Instagram where she appeared to be holding back tears. It was raw. Fans were turning on her. The internet was dragging her press interviews. And suddenly, that bold pre-release energy turned into damage control.
To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Then came the theater moment. Rachel showed up to a screening of her own movie, flowers in hand, smiling, posting like it was a celebration. But the camera didn't lie. The theater was nearly empty, a handful of people scattered in seats. No buzz, no energy, just her and a couple of silent rows. It was supposed to be a flex. It became a meme. Fans started reposting it with captions like, "Snow White and the 7 empty seats." Others joked she brought flowers to a funeral. Some said it looked like she was holding a press tour for a ghost town. And then came the numbers. Snow White couldn't even crack $100 million at the US box office, even with Disney's full marketing machine behind it, even with a worldwide release. The movie was hemorrhaging money. Even worse, its IMDb score became one of the lowest for any modern Disney release. Critics and fans both piled on. The narrative had flipped completely. Rachel wasn't being celebrated for challenging tradition. She was being blamed for wrecking it. But the final blow came from one of the most unexpected places: Minecraft. Yes, Minecraft. The live-action Minecraft movie dropped weeks after Snow White and immediately crushed it at the box office. What people called too childish or silly turned out to be exactly what audiences wanted. Fun, low drama, and actually made for the fans. While Rachel's Snow White was crawling to triple digits, Minecraft flew past it in its opening weekend. No political lectures, no controversy, just blocks, zombies, and Jack Black yelling into a mic. Suddenly, Disney's most expensive princess reboot looked like a parody of itself, and according to industry insiders, Hollywood noticed. Reports started surfacing that studios were now reconsidering Rachel's future projects, that she might be passed over for upcoming roles, that Disney wasn't willing to back her for future reboots after what happened with Snow White. The same Rachel Zegler, who was once hailed as a rising star, is now facing the biggest question of her career. Can she bounce back? Or did this movie close the chapter before it really started? And while Rachel was scrambling to recover, one thing was already on the way: another animated roast. This time from the one studio that hasn't hit yet, but absolutely will: Because if you thought South Park's roast was savage, just wait until The Simpsons and Family Guy gets involved. Don't miss the next one.